Hey photographer, Jessica Whitaker here. I'm going to review your photography website. I'll be going over layout, design, copy, which means the wording on your website, what work I think that you should highlight, overall how to optimize your photography website to book more clients. I asked the photographers in my free photography Facebook group, Build and Bloom, to submit their websites, as well as over on my Instagram where I share daily tips, tools, and resources for growing your photography business. A lot of the critiques that I have are quite common in websites, so I tried my best to select websites that were quite diverse so I could share as much information rather than very repetitive. If you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you will be the first to know when new free videos for your photography business come out. Before we head to the computer, I want to thank my sponsor Squarespace for making this free video possible. As a photographer, you also play the role of stylist, location scout, customer service rep, accountant, and snack provider. And you need a website that's just like you, can do it all. Enter Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for photographers. It's more than just a website platform. You can schedule and accept your photo shoot bookings, sell digital products like PDF guides, or physical products like art prints, host your domain and custom email, create email lists, and present your work through public or password-protected galleries. If you're a photographer operating during late morning hours, rest assured that Squarespace has you covered. You can quickly troubleshoot any challenges with their round-the-clock live chat and comprehensive help library and 24/7 customer service. A photo speaks 1,000 words, but a seamless client experience on your website is how you can book those $1,000 clients. Build and launch your new website in just a weekend, but if you need more time, you can give Squarespace a 14-day free trial. And when you're ready to launch your beautiful new site, head to squarespace.com/Jessica Whitaker for 10% off your first purchase of a new website or a domain. Samantha's website, the first thing that I noticed was this graphic, and when I hover my mouse over, you can see that Pinterest icon pop up. You're gonna wanna remove this kind of little icon that pops up. One thing I would do altogether is remove this, and instead of having an image, have a text header, because that is going to be best for SEO because it's actual text that's typed out. And I really recommend with this video you guys listen to, I'll link it in the description, the Build and Bloom podcast episode I did with my friend Kat, who's an SEO expert, and we learn all about how to, well, she teaches us all how to implement SEO in a super easy way. So with Squarespace websites, you can customize the font for the header. So if you want to have this cool scripted font, you can still have that. What I'm going to show you guys in my own Squarespace, and most platforms you're able to do this, right, is you can change the font for the headers to be different. So you can still have this cool script, but you can actually make it SEO friendly. The other thing I would do as well is I would actually remove this. This is so freaking cute. I think these are meant to be hydrangeas. I love how it's on this Polaroid, but I would remove this totally and either have it incorporated somewhere else on your website, but I think it's just very repetitive with both of these elements. I do understand how this will stay when you flip through. So if you do still want to keep it, then consider actually taking off the text perhaps, or you know what I think would actually be best visually? Just have the flowers on one side, maybe flanking bouquet of flowers right here, because it's just a bit repetitive. You can always use this entire beautiful element in other areas of your branding, but I think that would just really simplify. Okay, so then I scroll down and we have a carousel of your images, which I think is fine, but I wouldn't actually put the carousel here. What I would love to see first is, and I feel like a broken record kind of saying this, because I say it in every video about websites, but it's really important that before somebody scrolls down on your photography website, so before I'm able to go all the way down here, this is something that my website designer has also taught on, and she taught me this. It needs to say, it's super important, it needs to say your name, what kind of photography you do. So, okay, we do have those two elements, but where you are based at, because I have no freaking idea where you're at. And then when I scrolled down even further and I'm reading this, I still don't know until here, based in Columbus, serving Ohio and all destinations. So definitely we want to make this something that people don't have to search for, because we have to remember that when a client is looking for a photographer and they don't have one specific person in mind, maybe they're not a creative at all, right? So they have a couple of photographers' websites open on their screen. Even if you are based in Ohio and they're looking for a photographer in Ohio, if somebody else, it's so much more likely if somebody else has that information clearly displayed, they are going to click out of your website because the other person was able to answer that question. And that whole idea can bleed into other areas of our website. So having your pricing information on your website, even if it's just like a starting rate, is a great way to answer that question. FAQs, frequently asked questions about the booking process, having those on your website. Think about all of these common questions that you get in your inbox before somebody pays for your services, before they sign the contract. What are all of those questions you constantly get, and how can you automate that and have it already displayed on your site or in a welcome email? But I prefer to have it on the website. And I would instead, with this idea of removing the carousel, pick like 4 or 5 of these images that you really love. And then I would just have them kind of sprinkled throughout this homepage, where one's on the right corner, one's on the left, and your eye is guided down, and then having that block of text here. So let's go back to my website. You can see how your eye is led to the right, and then there's text, there's a header, you could put a button, and then your eye is being brought down to all these different elements. So that's something I really encourage you guys to all do. And we'll also just break up your page a lot and keep people on the page longer, which Google really rewards. In Squarespace, you can create something similar to this that is actual text so that Google will reward that. So let me show you an example. Okay, so this is my Business Basics online course. If you guys are interested, I'll have this link down below. But see how I have this photo here, and then a header, and then I have text? Well, this is actually all an image block in Squarespace where I uploaded my photo, but then I went over into design, and then within the platform, there's so many different ways that you can customize it. I do like how you have the call to action, but again, I would love to just have your photo, the blurb, and then that button right here so that they're also not having to navigate all around. Choose your experience. I really like this. I would love if these were all uniform, so all the buttons are the same. And I think that this would be great if you brought it up a little bit more, so that then when people scroll down, it's not only name, where you're at, where you're based at, what kind of photography you do, but then also we get some images, and then we see how they can learn more and or their experience. And I would also make this a solid background color, and just to break up the page. And you guys can honestly do that for a lot of different elements on your page. I almost feel like every other could be something different. On my Business Basics, this is actually done as an index so that I can customize all these different sections. Otherwise, you're not able to. You're gonna change the entire background color of the whole page. So you have to do it in sections, and then like see how this testimonial stands out. I go to banner, and then I'm able to upload from there. And then I want to end on this. I think that, Samantha, you should get a new website template on Squarespace. This one is fine. It's very simple. It served you well, but there are other ones available. There's like dozens of really beautiful ones that are equally as simple, but they're just laid out. The flow is a bit more contemporary. I feel like this is just very bare bones. And again, that's totally fine, but I want to see your work highlighted more, but then also all these really beautiful branding elements like this hydrangea blue, like the script. I would love to see some like this green. I would love to see more photos of you. And with this template, I do not think you're going to be able to achieve that just because it's very vertical and it's also quite narrow. So I would just pick something a bit more updated that just has a bit more plug and play elements that you can implement the feedback I've given you on your homepage into. Much easier. Okay, I think the thing is with the whole, it's very narrow, is that everything is very centered, and so my eye visually, it just gets very lost in this white wall of text. So instead, if this amazing testimonial that you got from your client, let's highlight that more. Have it over here, maybe on the side, and then have that client photo here. So there's just so much more that you could play around with other templates. I love how you end with the let's get in touch. It's super important to have a button and action at the end for somewhere there to go. I would say to take away this Instagram just because you see how the layout, we have like a lot of different shapes going on. I would just take this out altogether. And then I would also take off the powered by Squarespace if you can do that. Something else that you really all need to do, I need to make a whole video on this, is have website policies that live in the footer. So let's talk about that. So going back to my website, see here how in my footer I do have my icons. I have a little Instagram. You could do something like this maybe, where it's not that big carousel that takes up the whole page, or like the whole width, but I have privacy policy, terms of use, terms of purchase, and refund policy. And that's if you are selling like digital goods, basically, to put it shortly. So the privacy policy is something that is really, really important for you to have on your website to protect yourself. And it is something very boring to spend your money on, but it is part of the legal process. So I will have a privacy policy, terms of use, template for you guys linked down below. I really hope that this was able to help you, Samantha, and help those watching. Let's now move on to the next website and let's explore other pages beyond the homepage. Okay, we are now on Erica's website. The one thing when I was looking through this homepage before I hit record was I would swap this font out. Now you could definitely keep it still as a header font like this. I think it looks great, but it's really hard for me to read as this text body font. I would actually choose something more like this font right here, and then maybe have this font stay in the header and then on the buttons. And then for the love note part, I love having testimonials, but make this much skinnier because it's taking up too much. It's taking up the whole page, and it's also very hard to read. So change out that font. I would say to remove Facebook and Instagram from the menu up here, because once they click on Facebook, it's over. Like Instagram on desktop, okay, you could argue that people might not be logged in. Facebook, it's done. You're never seeing that client again. Like, grab their IP address because you gotta track them down. Like, so I would say take this out and then just keep it here. Let's click into my work. You know what? I think this would be a great opportunity to do your testimonial. And I would explore having this laid out a bit differently, where again your eye is going to all these different elements like a zigzag. And you know what, I would actually say, can you make these thumbnails all in black and white? Because we have a lot of different tones going on, which is fine because we have to accommodate for each individual setting. But this is very cool toned, and then this is very warm. And then this one, I would even say if you don't want to make it black and white, put this in between, because these two greens is just very different white balance. To make everything very cohesive, I would say do black and white, the same width as the other ones, because see how this icon right here, it sits like, it just doesn't look very uniform. And I'd also change it to be a white play button. Or, you know what could be cool is if you made these thumbnails all black and white, you could take one of your branding colors. I'd also say too, Erica, is with this really thin white font against this very light background, I would change this to be black because it's hard to read. Can you even make these maybe smaller, and then you could do like Megan and Aaron over top? Or what if instead of having their names, I want you to think about this because I don't know the answer. How can you make this appeal to a total stranger who doesn't know Megan and Aaron, where you can actually help your potential client envision that this would be their day even more so through your copy? So maybe you would want to say like ranch wedding, country club wedding, Notting Hill, like something maybe about the venue, the location, something like that. If we could be really strategic with even the copy. And for those who don't know, the copy means the words on your website. Strategic, where your client could literally place themselves in Megan and Aaron's shoes that way by having something about Redemption Ranch or ranch wedding, country club wedding, whatever it might be. I also don't think it's important to have dates here, so I would totally take these out. I think though, like having the location, I would also spell out Missouri too for SEO, and having the venue is totally fine, because that's great for SEO, but I would honestly take the date out. And I kind of, if I was gonna be completely honest, I would actually take the couples names out too, unless that's something that's important to you to keep, but just keeping it as simple as possible with that more intentional copy. And then, you know what actually you could do is have that testimonial, like maybe have your video here or something. Think about a way either in a zigzag, and then on the opposite side, maybe that's where you have their little testimonial. If you're like, no, I want to keep this exactly how it is, this information's important, then I would say have your testimonial here. So then visually you're gonna have your text that's gonna be pretty much the same like size and width as the thumbnail. Okay, I'm gonna talk about, I really like how much information is on here. I think that having your contact form pretty detailed is very, very helpful, and it could help you get booked before another photographer gets booked with the same client. Kind of that same, it's the same idea of potential clients have multiple websites open, they're reaching out to multiple photographers, and it's not always who's cheaper, is usually who can respond with the contract, who can get them the contract and the invoice first. And that means who can answer their questions first. But I do think, Erica, you have so much gorgeous work that let's share it on this page. Let's insert those testimonials as well. Okay, let's move on to another website. The last website is Daquan. Thought that I would focus on the contact page. And I know we talked about it a couple of seconds ago with Erica, but this is a really good example of a horrible contact page. No, this is a good example of a contact page that I see more often than not that is just blank. When I go to your homepage, holy crap, so amazing. And then when I go here, I'm like, huh? So what I want you to do first off is have this beautiful imagery on your contact page. So often I see these pages very, very sparse or totally blank like this with no imagery. And it is so important that you have as many photos as looks balanced and visually makes sense. So much beautiful work on the homepage, but by the time they get to the about, there's, one photo. Okay. And then by the time we get to contact, And you know what? Because I can't resist, let's just talk about the about. I would love to see, even if you are somebody who you do not have a lot of images of yourself and you're not interested in taking any more, then have more photos of your work here that are like your the photo shoots that you really want to highlight. And then what I would recommend too for Daquan and for anyone who doesn't, to blog your galleries, and you can have those also be here. Get testimonials from your clients. Fill it up with more visual imagery and then more elements in addition to photos of yourself. You are going to go and apply this tonight to your website and you're like, I don't have any other photos of me. At least put in those elements. And so when it comes to the contact page, this is the last touch point that a client has before they exit out and hear from you. So with this, it is so important for us to remind the client that you are the right choice for them, because again, they're going to have multiple photographers pages open, and a lot of the times the other photographers also are going to have this blank page. So how can you stand out? By having imagery all down the side, testimonials. I would make this a little bit wider in Squarespace and then make the side narrower. And then my other thing would be, and this is a video I've talked about before, and I think I've actually done a podcast on, I would have more information on your contact page. And let me go over to my contact page so I can give a better example. So we are on my contact page. Here is the form: email address, first and last name, and pronouns. What type of session are you looking to book? I know, Daquan, you have all of this on it. Dates, I like to be super specific about it, but that's totally up to you. What package option, what city, what locations do you have in mind? For me, I have a lot of my clients in New York City. Within New York, it's like, okay, I'm looking to book in NYC, but if they actually put Central Park West or West Village, I can have a better idea before I even get on a planning call with them. Partner's email address, you don't have to put this, but I found that I am constantly asking that in couple bookings, and it actually can delay getting the contract over to the client and and the invoice. Are there any specific props? I've actually taken out a few fields, like asking them what their vision is for the photo shoot, because with my business, I'm now starting to pivot to do a higher ticket branding experience. And part of that, before they book with me, they actually are onboarded onto a planning call. I was advised to actually take out that question so that they don't feel by the time that they get to the planning call, oh, I have to repeat myself. But when I am booking just simple like 2 outfit photo shoots, 1 outfit photo shoot, I do like to have that more detailed question of, do you have a vision for your shoot? What are we celebrating? That kind of thing. Specific props. And then I always love to hear how people heard about me. So even if you just add a couple other questions like, how did you hear about me? And it's the drop down menu. So everyone listening, take that information and implement it where you see fit and adjust as time goes on. And maybe you don't make all of those fields required, those additional ones. You can always leave that off. And then the last thing that I just wanted to touch on, the layout of the menu up here. I know you have a lot of different categories, so it makes sense to me why you have it laid out this way, but I would see if you can do something that's more like a button for portraits, and portraits is on this side. Dating is here, food and beverage. It's also really important that your contact page, and I would also say your about, is one of these clickable up here. Even if you don't want to change anything about the layout or the menu, at least take your about and contact and put that in place of studio and food and beverage, or portraits to and studio, and have that be part of the drop down. And then the other thing that I would do is also take out the Instagram and just keep it down here. And then you also need to get a privacy policy. So that is my critique for the last website that I'm going to be going over. Welcome back. I love doing these kinds of videos, and if you'd like to see more, be sure to send me a DM over on Instagram or drop a comment down below. I mentioned my Build and Bloom Facebook group at the beginning of this video, and if you are a photographer who is looking to join a kind, encouraging, and inclusive community, Build and Bloom is just for you. So whether you are looking for insight on how to respond to a difficult client situation, or if you need help deciding on what camera gear is going to be best for you, it's totally free. Just search up Build and Bloom on Facebook groups. And if you hit subscribe, you will be the first to know when new free videos for your photography business come out. And I will see you over in my next video. Click right here to watch and to learn. I believe in you and I believe in your business, and I'll see you there. Bye.